Hi everyone, it's James here from Pro Tools Expert, back with another 500 series gear review. This time we're going to look at two modules by Aphex, their new 500 series J Pre 500, and they're slightly older but still quite rocking, dual RPA 500. Now the main difference, obviously this is a dual channel design, these are single modules, but they both sound fantastic and have very different character. So what we're going to do in this video is something a little bit different. We're going to record some drums using a kind of 4 mic hybrid Glyn Johns style technique, and in the next video we'll look at putting the bass and guitar tracks down. So let's have a look at what we're using, how we're going to set these up, and exactly how we set the mics up on the kit. So here we are up close and personal on the J Pre 500. Very, very simple operation. We've got our 26 dB pad, phase invert, 75 Hz high pass filter at 18 dB per octave. We then have the phantom power switch and this mic limit switch. Now by pressing the mic limit switch you engage Aphex's patented mic limit technology. This is basically a really nice mic limiter that will allow you to drive the mic pre as you'd want to drive it without the worry of overdriving your input channels. Basically what's going to happen is this allows us to bring our overheads, we're going to use these two for our overheads, up to a level that sounds really nice and really kind of transient, and then we just kick the mic limit buttons in, and that allows us to be able to play at a normal level but not pop the inputs, which is great. We then have our trim or gain control, and we have this peak level switch, 3-way switch. Now basically they've set this up so plus 24 dB or plus 24 is the more professional level, but if you're using lesser equipment, shall we say, you might want to have this down to plus 16. Pretty much any Pro Tools ready interface is going to be happy with plus 24. You've also got an instrument input, a high impedance input, and you've got your metering. The dual RPA 500 has exactly the same front panel controls, but obviously it's a double width unit. It's effectively a stereo input device, but we're going to use it for kick and snare in this particular case. So I'm just going to whip this out of here. And the one thing I love about the Aphex stuff is it's beautifully put together, double-sided. But you'll see inside a lovely little valve, a little 12AX7, I think. And that's going to do a really good job of providing a very stable power source across our two preamps. And it does give a really nice warm edge to the sound. Hence, to get that kind of classic rock and roll drum sound, we're going to use these for our kick and snare drum. So as ever on these reviews, I'm going to be using my Yamaha Beach Custom kit. And on the snare drum, I'm going to be using our good old faithful SM57 inside this Prime Acoustic crash guard. Now this serves two purposes. One, it stops me bashing the living daylights out of the microphone just by mistake. And secondly, it provides a certain amount of sonic isolation between the snare mic and the overheads. And in this particular scenario, that's very, very handy. My overheads for this session are two Sontronics STC1s with the cardioid capsule on. Now normally I use hypercardioid for overheads because it gives better separation, but this time I really want to get an overall ambient kind of tone of the kit that I can then mix in with the kick and the snare. So I'm going for the cardioid capsules, and these two are pointing directly downwards. Left hand side directly above the snare, right hand side directly above the floor tom, pointing straight down. Now this is a technique that I've seen done a couple of times. I've tried it before when had limited mic pre's and limited mic channels, and it works really, really well. I could do with a bit of extra height on them, but my room is somewhat height deficient, so we'll have to live with what we've got. My kick mic, even though you can't see it, is just outside the sound hole of the kick drum, and that's, as always, Sontronics DM1B kick drum mic. And that's our 4 mics. Really, really simple recording. You can see, obviously, there's other mics placed around the kit. They're not on for this session. We're just using the 4. The 2 overheads, snare drum mic, and the kick drum mic. So you can see here I've got my Pro Tools session, kick, snare, overhead left, and overhead right channels set up. So all I'm going to do now is just put a basic groove down that I can then add some bass and a couple of guitar parts to later on. So here we go. So here we are, got my 4 channels recorded. Let's play those back now and have a listen to the individual tracks. Nice power out of the kick drum. Little bit of overspill still, but you know, we can live with that. Let's have a listen to these overheads. Looks like the left is slightly warmer than the right, so let's just bring the right hand side up. Yeah, I'm reasonably happy with that. With a little bit of compression on the kick drum and snare, and probably a little bit of EQ to try and ease out some of those low end frequencies on the overheads, we can have ourselves a really good drum sound on just 4 mics. So in the next video part of this review, what we'll do is we'll record some bass guitar and some rhythm and lead guitar lines through cabinets using the Aphex Pre's. What we'll then do is we'll have a look at mixing them, adding some effects and adding some compression and sort of EQ and things to make this a really big sounding but simple recording session just using 4 mic pre's. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to see you again soon for the next part of this review.